Hello, and welcome to the DecentraWise Podcast. My name is Pedro.
And I'm Miguel, and you just join us in our mission to decentralize the world wisely.
Wisely, and I was already missing you guys because we were 2 weeks off. I don't know if you noticed, but I have like a radiophonic voice now. Um, yeah, first it was a flu, now it's pneumonia, but I am fighting it with antibiotics. So the last 2 weeks we couldn't do it because I was coughing all the time. Anyway,
It would be
um,
a great podcast.
yeah, it wouldn't be a very nice experience for you guys, but we missed you,
Oh,
and
yeah.
this podcast will be epic today because of a surprise that we have and because of the topics, right?
Yeah, the topics are quite interesting. We are going to talk about Web3 development tools and platforms. So, yeah, stay tuned for a big episode.
And if you are here with us and you didn't press the like button, go ahead. It's down there. Search
Yeah,
it.
just
It should be
like
there.
our
Should
episode.
be a thumbs up thing
Yeah, it's
there.
something like this,
Yeah.
right?
Or on the other side, you can have also the option to select subscribe
Yeah, it
and
starts with a
be
little s, so you can't miss it.
subscribe, and you will be our 100th subscriber. Can you
Yeah,
imagine
that's an important
something
position, guys.
more fun
So,
than that?
yeah, that's an important one. The number
We will
100.
make you a
Go for
party
it.
today. So do it, right? Yeah, it is amazing that there are 100 people in the world wanting to watch our episodes. Man, it's becoming serious, this shit, right? 100 people is a lot of people. They couldn't fit my dining table. So,
Just typing a message here
you are.
to the viewers. So yeah, so guys, yeah, so subscribe, like our videos, and let's
And
go
grab
for
your
it.
drink.
Yeah, I
It's
have a little one, but it's a special. I'm
sit
saving
back
it
and
for
relax.
the number 100. So guys, go there. It's the little s with the subscribe. So go for it.
Oh,
We will
yeah.
cheer you up.
We are cheering for the 100th subscriber in this episode. Let's do it, guys.
Oh yeah.
Don't miss this opportunity. You will be remembered forever.
Oh yeah.
It's
For sure. Okay, so let's start. I think a good place to start is the blockchain platforms. So, what do we have there? So, we have, well, blockchain platforms in terms of smart contract development. So, there is
yeah.
not much you can do on Bitcoin, right? You can do some stuff, but it's not very dynamic. So, I think we can put that aside. Nobody is developing for Bitcoin. So we can start with the major one is Ethereum, and we have also
Actually, I wanted to put something in between
yeah.
because
Go ahead.
Bitcoin also has layer twos, right?
Yeah,
And there is Lightning Network, which is the most known layer two of Bitcoin, which is a payment layer. So there is a lot of development being done in Lightning right now. Integrations with exchanges, with wallets, with stuff like that.
Okay, so let's start with that because I think we need to put that aside because it's a different beast
Yeah,
from the other ones. So what can we do with Lightning?
it's a payment system, so you can do all kinds of payments, right? So the things that you cannot do with Bitcoin because it's too expensive and too um, the timing of transactions is too high. So if you want to wait for 6 confirmations, you have to wait an hour, and it's not ideal to pay a coffee, right? So
Yeah,
that's the purpose of this layer two Lightning network
yeah.
is to
Even though
exactly
the costs are very low, it's very cheap
reduce
to make
drastically the
to make
costs
payments.
and to make payments almost immediate. They are not immediate just because there is some network latency for each payment to reach the other side of the channel. But that's the only thing. So um, they are the the most close to immediate payments that we can get, right? Because finality is it's guaranteed in each payment, right?
Is there a way for the Lightning network to fail any transactions?
Well, any network can have problems, but the network is built to have some redundancy related to that, and it is also built in a way that favors good behavior, and this favors bad actors, right?
Mhm.
Uh, but it's not easy to be part of the network and stay consistent with the network um, uh, latest uh, transactions uh, if you are a regular user. So if you are not a node operator, it's very hard for people to run a node and to not get into trouble losing the channels they have opened and stuff like that. So I wouldn't advise for any user to start running a node because they will probably have
Yeah,
problems
well,
in
at
that
least for a
process.
basic user, right?
Yeah, but the beauty of it is that it is becoming very easy for the end user to use Lightning products. For instance, wallets or social networks like Noster, for instance, which is not directly a Lightning product. It's something completely different, but it integrates Lightning for atomic payments for users. So you can, with an account on Noster, where it's like Twitter almost, you can tweet and people can zap your tweet or give you sats for
Mhm.
your tweet. And it's based on Lightning. It's very easy to set up. And I was impressed when I tried it a few weeks ago. I was very impressed with the ease of use of something that is completely um, based on Bitcoin and Lightning transactions, and it's decentralized as much as we can see on any decentralized social network, because most of them have centralized structures anyway. And this also has a few centralized structures, but the user experience is amazing. You just get to a website or an app, create your username, and you are good to go. No keys, no wallets, no bullshit. And then if you want to receive zaps, then you have to either integrate a Lightning wallet, which you can integrate with a wallet of Satoshi, for instance, which is, man, it's the kiss of wallets. So keep it simple, stupid. Uh, it is as stupid as it can get. It's very easy. And this stuff coming from Bitcoin made me rethink Web3 because whenever we want to connect to a Web3 dApp, EVM like, it's a pain to a regular user. And these guys on Bitcoin, that old shit that nobody develops on, just made it so that any grandpa can join.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree with that. But even though that Lightning works well as a payment service, it doesn't allow for smart contracts, right?
Yeah, it's not programmable.
Yeah, it
You can do
and
payments.
and that is why I wanted to clear this up. We are going to talk of a lot of stuff here today, so I want to take the Lightning Network out of the way, even though that
Yep.
you can develop applications using the Lightning Network. But you cannot develop smart contracts, which is the major stuff that we are going to talk about here.
But I wanted to just say something before
Yeah,
the
yeah,
smart contracts, which is not everything needs to be a smart contract for Web3.
yep,
Usually the first thing that we need to think about when we are starting a decentralized application or a decentralized protocol is the way to go. It doesn't have to be an Ethereum thing or EVM
yeah, yeah,
based.
yeah. I do agree.
Maybe the best approach is to have your own chain.
Well, there are a
Or
lot of stuff on Web3 development that it's not a smart contract. Well, actually, the
yeah,
smart contracts are a very small part of it. But I was differentiating this because when we talk about blockchain, we are now used to have smart contracts in the blockchain, and Lightning it's just a payment network. So I wanted to differentiate that.
yeah,
You can build applications on top of that, but they are not smart contracts.
yeah. But the first thing to think about on Web3, in my mind, is build your own chain, because I can see the worlds, the future worlds, as a multitude of chains that are completely hidden from the end user. The end user doesn't give a shit if it runs on a chain or on a circle or a rectangle or
Yeah, the user doesn't care about
whatever,
that. Most
right?
users don't even know what a blockchain is. They don't
So
care. So
the
it's not
blockchain
really
should be
important.
something. When I log into an application, the web application, Web2 application, I don't give a shit if it uses MySQL as backend or
Yeah.
Postgres or it's the same shit,
SQLite, it
right?
doesn't even matter, right?
I don't care. It
And
doesn't
most people don't even know the difference of what we are talking about here. So
exactly. So this is the beauty of this is exactly that we will have a multitude of chains holding data for decentralized apps in the future. You might use public chains if you have a small protocol layer that doesn't require much interaction, or build your own chain if you are building something that requires a lot of interaction, because you will go bankrupt if you use a public chain, right?
Mhm.
And it will be very difficult to build your own economy or design your own economy in a public chain where you don't control most of the shit, right? So
Yeah, well, uh, you can design your own economy by means of the smart contracts. But if you do your own chain, you have much more flexibility because you can build the chain within your parameters. But even in Ethereum, you can build your own economy.
yeah,
It's
you
not
can.
as flexible. It's expensive. It's yeah, whatever. But you can do it. But if you want really to be really flexible, I do agree that uh, it's good to have your own chain. And it's not really hard to have your own chain nowadays because most blockchains are, well, at least most well-known blockchains are open source. You can just grab the code and compile, tweak it as you want, and yeah, just go for it.
Yeah,
You
and
even have really small blockchains that run on mobile phones. So yeah, there are a variety of solutions there.
it's a cool thing because when you have nodes and people that uh, are node operators on your network, they usually become more interested in your network um, growth. So
Yeah, they are part of the club, right?
we need we need to think about blockchains as communities,
Yeah.
and uh, the beauty of Bitcoin is exactly that. It's a community. It was a small community that started to enlarge uh, with time, and today is the strongest network in the planet, right? But it started with few computers running nodes, and
Hmm.
that's another uh, economic effect, and it's another community building effect, right?
Yeah.
So if you just have a token, anyone can have a token. It's not something that really uh, ties people up in a good sense, right? Running a
Mhm.
node, participating in the network, being rewarded for that, it's a lot more rewarding than just earning a token in your wallet where you have dozens of those, right?
Yeah,
So
well, yeah, having a token is all important, like you were saying. The important thing is to have the community because the value of the token is deeply tied to the importance that the community or to the value that the community gives to that token. Um, so yeah, it doesn't really matter if you have a token because you can design your own economy even without a new token. Uh, it's hard. It's not flexible, but it's doable.
it's
But
not
if you
hard
want,
if
no,
you
no, no.
think about.
What I mean by hard, it's hard to create the economy around that because if you have, for instance, Ethereum, you can. It's not easy to build an economy, a different economy than that Ethereum have for your own project.
the
But
the difference is if you want to be your central bank or of your community, or if you can design a system that cash flows using some already issued currency from another central bank. That's the difference between creating uh, a central bank economy, like creating a token, and creating a company using a central bank uh, currency, which was the standard before,
yeah,
right? So if you create a company, you have a currency that you should use on that economic region, and you cannot create your own money, right?
yeah,
And that's the difference. So I really find more interesting even to create economies where you don't have a token, because it's more challenging actually, but you actually have to think about the cash flow of your business. And it's something that most people forget when creating a token, because they create a token and the token is created out of thin air. So why think about it, right? And then when the token distribution ends, they don't have anything to give anyone participating in the economy. And then people just stop participating, because that's the nature of things. You participate in stuff that you feel that you are rewarded for it, right?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. So I want to start now talking about the other blockchain platforms. The biggest one is, of course, Ethereum. There is also the Cosmos block, the Cosmos ecosystem, which uh, is composed by several blockchain implementations. You have also Solana, you have Polkadot. What are the major differences between these platforms, and what do they give you uh, different from each other?
Well, they have different languages, first of all,
Hmm.
uh, like implementation languages, and um if you want to
Just to
build
be
your
clear, we
own,
are now talking about smart contracts,
yeah,
because we took aside the Lightning Network, and we are now talking about
yeah,
developing smart
and
contracts.
there are two on that list. There are two types of um, blockchain platforms: public blockchain platforms, where you can publish your own smart contracts to, and um, blockchain platforms where you can build your own blockchain and also use public blockchains on those networks that provide you smart contracts possibilities, like Ethereum. So in the Cosmos ecosystem, you have a lot of um, chains on that ecosystem running, even EVM compatible chains, right?
Mhm.
And the most important thing of Cosmos is the inter-blockchain communication, right? So they provide a way for Cosmos chains to talk to each other, which is cool, right?
Was IBC developed by the Cosmos ecosystem,
They have one attempt to that, or a few.
or was it just a protocol that most ecosystems just decided to implement?
There are plenty of attempts to provide IBC. Even EOS had its own
Hmm.
attempt and stuff like that. So that's a very old problem. Um, it's not very easy to solve,
Yeah.
and usually it requires external stuff like external nodes and external verification and stuff like that. So it's not easy. But yeah, the Cosmos ecosystem, one of the selling points is that IBC infrastructure, as well as Polkadot. But Polkadot did it in a different way, right? Yeah, and Cosmos ecosystem is Go based, right? And
Well,
Polkadot
actually, they use Rust a lot.
Polkadot is Rust based. So uh, if you want to run your own chain, maybe that's a consideration. Um, and on Polkadot, there's a the SDK kind of is substrate to for you to create your own chain. But the idea of Polkadot is to run parachains. So they have a master chain, and the parachains connect to that master chain, and the master chain synchronizes messages between the other chains. So it's a different idea. But these are some of the base layers where you can build your own chain, right? Like the develop your own chain platforms, right?
Yeah.
But on each of these, you have public networks running and even EVM compatible public networks that we can use. Sorry,
Okay, so since we started to talk about the languages, let's go for some of the languages there that are mainstream right now. Solidity is, of course, the most important. There is Rust, there is Viper, there is C++. There are at least these languages that people are developing smart contracts. What would you say? Well, Solidity, the one of the biggest qualities of Solidity is, of course, the ecosystem. It's huge. It's the language that is mostly supported, and it's the language that everybody uses. So Solidity is JavaScript based. If you are used to
kinda.
JavaScript, yeah, kind of. Well, that's why I said based. It's not the same, but it's. I think the people usually compare to C or to C++. Well, it's a C based language, but I think it's most similar to JavaScript. So if you are used to JavaScript, you'll have an easy time using Solidity. There is Rust. Rust is weird. I don't know.
It's not weird.
No, well, I know it's not weird. It's an attempt to implement the good practices from C++.
Like
But
Go.
yeah, but if you are used,
Yeah.
yeah, like Go. But if you are used to C++, like we are, at least for me, I found it strange, because well, I'm used to implement the C++ in a proper way. So Rust was kind of an unnecessary way of doing stuff. But yeah, well, if the people that like Rust, they really like it. So what I'm figuring is that if you get used to it, it's probably a good one. It's really fast. It's a really fast language. It's really efficient. Um, so yeah, for the people that do like, it's probably a nice bet. And you can develop, of course, the smart contract part, and you can use Rust for if you are using some sort of backend or front end. You can also implement it in Rust, so that you don't have to learn different languages. And the same goes for Viper, which is Python based. So if you are used to Python, you will have an easy time going for Viper. So Viper has some restrictions regarding to Solidity comparing to it, but it's done for safety and easy of readability, so it's easy to audit. Uh, so what do you have to say
Yeah.
about these, at least these
Yeah.
ones? C++ is
For
you
instance,
also have C++. It
you
has
can
for
develop
people that don't know C++
just to
that well.
clarify.
Yeah, sure.
Just to clarify what is what. Uh, if you are programming an EVM blockchain and want to develop smart contracts on it, you just have two options: Solidity and Viper,
Yeah.
or Assembly, but no one uses it really.
Yeah.
You can, but yeah, it's painful.
Yeah.
Um, and If you want to develop smart contracts on a chain, um, Cosmos ecosystem, you can use Go for it, or you can use Solidity if you use an EVM um,
Let me
virtual
ask you
machine.
something. For the ones that use Rust
Solana,
and Go,
but it's
what
not
does it?
Rust. It's Rust-based smart contract language.
Yeah, what does it translate? Does it translate to WebAssembly or something like that?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not. I'm not
Yeah,
absolutely
I'm
sure,
asking
but
because I really don't know. Never checked that out.
usually it is like that.
Because
Should be
Solidity
something WebAssembly.
and Viper will translate to EVM assembly, right?
Yeah, that's bytecode.
Yeah.
It's a different shit.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
that's the
right.
same as
It's
Solidity.
right.
Solidity translates to bytecode, and Viper as well. Uh, so uh, the first thing that you need to select is: will you build a blockchain of your own, or will you use a blockchain, a public blockchain? If you use a public blockchain, then you have EVM compatible ones where you can use Solidity and Viper. Uh, but I would advise you to use Solidity. Uh, it's not just because I hate Python, because I do, uh, but it's something that can be changed in the future. I'm actually working on in Python today, to my misery. But yeah, shit happens. But anyway, Viper is a very new language, and although Solidity sucks as well, because it does, it's old, and most of the people made most of the mistakes already. You can you can be very creative and do your own, but you will have a hard time finding new shit to do, right? And in Viper, it's not the same thing. Viper is very new. There is too little stuff built in Viper and properly hacked by real hackers, because you can do a lot of shit. But if it doesn't have value, hackers will ignore you, right? As long as
Yeah,
you,
actually, I think the first version of Uniswap was done. I don't know if all in Viper or at least a part in Viper. So there's kind of a code base around there. And the other thing that I would like to mention about Viper is that, yeah, even though it's a very recent language, it grew on the mistakes of Solidity. So at least those mistakes they are not making, or at least most of them. So that's why they restricted the language quite a bit, in order not to have such mistakes.
that's true, but
There may be
you
others, of
cannot
course.
ignore the human capability
Yeah, I know,
of
I know.
building
Of
wrong
making
stuff.
new mistakes. Yeah, yeah, I know that. I know that.
And programming is an art form where any mistake is a new creation.
Yeah.
So just for to be on the safe side, if you are building something that will control a lot of value, do it in Ethereum and learn all the previous hacks and previous exploits and stuff like that, and bulletproof your code by that, and you will be most probably good to go with a good audit after that, and you can be more or less in a good shape to start something that holds a lot of value.
I tend to agree in part with what you're saying, but there is another side of that, and I think if you don't need the flexibility of Solidity, it should be safer to build it in Viper. So that's right now at this moment. It's my opinion. I still have to explore Viper quite a bit in order to find the limitations that they impose on the language. But if you don't have the requirements of flexibility that Solidity gives you, yeah, it should be safer to do it in Viper.
I don't know. I'm not the
Yeah,
right guy
I don't know either
to
because
talk
I'm
about
still
it.
it's something that I started to investigate recently. So yeah, some stuff will come up for sure, and we will talk about it quite a bit in the future. But yeah, so if you are a Python developer, it should be easy for you to go to Viper. If you are a Rust developer, it should be easy for you to go to a Cosmos blockchain and keep
I
developing in
would go,
Rust.
I would
Uh,
do something even more broad. If you are a Python developer, kill yourself.
right.
No, just joking. Just joking. Just joking. You can always learn another language. That
No,
shouldn't
well,
be.
yeah, I'm also a Python developer, and I had that. It was repugnant at the beginning to develop in Python, but now it kind of grew inside. So it's not that ugly anymore. It's still ugly, yeah, but it's not that bad anymore. So when you get used to
Yeah.
it, yeah,
The
just
first the
it
first
is what it is.
project the first project that I had to touch in Python was a library to build embedded systems. And do you know what was the first thing I did? Do you remember? Because you were already working with me by that time. It was like early 2000s. Uh, do you remember what I did with
No,
that project?
no, no, no. What was it?
Translate the entire shit to Bash. I preferred Bash than Python,
No way.
and it worked flawlessly in
Yeah,
Bash.
well, Bash just works.
And that
Right
explains
now, I'm doing the opposite. I'm translating from Bash and I'm using Python.
that explains really what I love Python. But
It
I am
developed.
learning.
Python grew so much after that, and after
I'm
the
learning Python, to use Python and to tolerate it lately. But yeah, it's very annoying.
I think it's harder, and you would have a more difficult time if you didn't know C++ and you needed to jump into C++. That would be a pain.
Yeah,
And I think one of our main advantages is that we started with C and C++, and then we grew to other languages, so it was quite easier. If it was the other way around, I think that I would cut my wrists.
yeah, yeah. We are those dinosaurs in the room, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, we started using C++ 98, and before that, God,
I
that
started
was
before
crazy.
you. I
Yeah,
started
yeah, yeah.
before you, man. When I started using C++, it was
Yeah, I was still
still
using Borland C++, so
C++.
keep that in mind.
When I started it, it wasn't still
And
a
Turbo C++,
compiler. It was an
a
interpreter
translator. Yeah, it was a translator to
translating to
C,
C.
and then it would translate to assembly, and then it would build. It was crazy. Yeah, I remember the first one that I used was Turbo C++, and then I started using Borland C++, which was great. Uh, and
The
then
first one I used was Zortek C++,
I don't even know what
version
that
1.
is. Yeah, don't even know what that is.
Wikipedia
But
says
you are
something
an old
about it.
guy. You know,
I'm a dinosaur.
yeah, I'm only half a dinosaur. So
Anyway, let's
anyway, let's
move
keep
on.
going. So we talked about blockchain platforms. We talked a little bit about the languages and some of the differences between them. And now let's talk a little bit about development frameworks. We have Truffle, Hard Hat, Embark. I don't even know what Embark is, but we have Brownie, so I think the main ones
Truffle,
are Truffle and Hard Hat.
I
No,
think it's
and
deprecated.
Brownie maybe, yeah, a little bit, but yeah. Do
Truffle
you want to
is
talk about?
it was the earliest framework to build smart contracts, and then Hard Hat started to gain momentum, and Truffle started to lose momentum, and now it's discontinued, I think. So Hard Hat is the framework to if you want to build JavaScript tests for your applications. Um, it's probably the best, the most used one. But I started getting interested in Foundry in my last projects, and I find Foundry much more productive.
Yeah, let's just explain a little bit what is part of the development tools, or part of the toolkit that we are talking about. So we are talking about a framework to deploy, to make tests, and to help you developing the smart contracts. Do you want to add anything about this description?
Yeah. When you are developing a smart contract, you need a lot of building blocks to be productive doing that. So, sorry. The first thing that you need is something to compile your contracts, right? You don't want to be writing Sol C command lines to compile your contracts, and where to store your bytecode or the compiled ABIs and stuff like that. So you want some tool that helps you with that, like a build system, right? And then when you build your smart contract, it actually builds, you want to run it. And to run it, you have to have a blockchain that implements the EVM virtual machine to run your contract, to deploy your contract to, and to call the smart contract functions to see if it works, right? And you also need some way to run tests, right? Because proper code has proper tests, right? And in this space, it's very important to have proper testing.
Yeah.
When I say proper testing, I mean 90 something percent coverage, and like covering all the nonsensical parameters that you can send to a contract, right? Like covering every shit, right? Because when you are dealing with people's money, we should do at least our best to be secure that we probably did all the things in our power for our customers' money to be safe, right? So that's the only way we have is to build proper testing for our smart contracts. So after being able to deploy your smart contract, not to a public chain because it's costly, even to a testnet, you have to have testnet tokens. In order to have testnet tokens, you have to go to a faucet, and if you go to a faucet, they only send you tiny amount every day.
It's a limited amount, and then you are restricted to that amount. And,
it's a pain. Right.
So the thing is to have your local EVM so that you can deploy your smart contracts there. It's easier. It's really fast. You don't have to wait for anything. It's just there on your machine. It's running. It's really lightweight. And it's free, of course. It's running on your computer. It just wipes out
When
when
you
you want.
start, you have like 10 or 100 accounts with 100 ETH
Yeah,
each
you can make your own
or
wallets. You can
whatever.
do a lot of stuff there,
So
and
you can experiment.
you can even time machine on the blockchain, so you can go forward a certain
Or
amount of
backward
blocks
in time or
or
whatever.
backwards
Yeah.
for that
So
matter.
that's the beauty of running your own environment, right?
Yeah,
And after the testing, uh, you have to have a way or to have an easy way to implement your final deployment scripts to a public network, like a public testnet, to test in the real shit, right? Because it's a completely different thing to test on your computer, your DApp, and test on a real network with real network latency, with
yeah,
real nodes serving uh, your uh, your queries. Uh, so whenever you are building a DApp, use a smart contract with the front end and all those things integrated. Uh, the best approach is to always test it on local net or development local networks, and then test it on public networks with real network problems
yeah,
and network nodes that stop working and or send strange results from time to time. So yeah, so this all to uh, tell you that there is a bunch of things to be uh, to be used on a regular day-to-day development of smart contracts, and that's why we need these development frameworks. Hard Hat has all those bits implemented in a JavaScript way. So Hard Hat with Hard Hat you have uh, a way to build your contracts, a way to test your contracts using Jasmine style test cases in JavaScript, and it integrates a JavaScript library for you to interact with your smart contracts. It is Ether.js usually, but you can use Web3.js as well. It's a matter of configuration. And it also has the local DevNet, dev node that you can use, and you can fork main chain, and you can do a lot of shit with it. And yeah, it is an all-round set of tools for you um, to work in building smart contracts, right? Foundry is the same thing. It has all the tools as well, but the main difference is that you write solidity tests instead of JavaScript tests. So
yeah.
there is not an extra layer of uh, potential problematic shit going on, right? I've
Yeah,
write
so correct me if I'm wrong, but it deploys a smart contract that uses your smart contract that you want to test, right? And it just calls
Mhm.
directly within the blockchain.
Yeah, and it's a lot faster. And believe me, you will notice it because if you have large smart contracts and large test suites, running those on Hard Hat might take 30 minutes or something like that. And the same tests running on Foundry might take like 30 seconds. It's very different, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and it also, the tests the test library in Foundry also includes fuzz testing, which is very cool. So if you want to test many parameters in your smart contract function, you can just put the framework to work for you and say to it, this parameter is of this type. Try random shit there.
Yeah.
And it just tries to break your code, right?
Yeah, and I mean, it's a lot easier to make the test in Solidity, mainly because you don't have difference between the two languages. We are talking about Solidity and, for instance, JavaScript. You will have type differences. You will have function calls that it's weird to call those functions because the frameworks just work differently.
Yeah.
So you have to learn two different languages, of course, and try to interact. There are, of course, libraries that make it easy for you, but it's not that easy. And so if you do
And
stuff in
it's the,
Solidity
the
with
entire
where they
the
are going to
entire
run,
chain the entire chain is has a lot of points of failure.
yeah,
And if you have something that runs in the same environment with the same
yeah,
language being compiled with the same compiler
yeah, you just
without
avoid a
anything in
lot of
between,
issues. Yeah,
it's a completely different thing.
yeah,
That's why I really love Foundry, because it removes so much clutter in the way
yeah.
of implementing tests, uh, and it's more performant. It has more features, so it's a no-brainer, right?
Yeah, I
At least
guess.
for me, it's a
Yeah,
no-brainer.
yeah, I guess it is a really nice thing. But since we are talking about that, so let's talk about that different layer. And I would like to introduce Web3 .js and ethers.js. So these are two.
Uh, uh,
Do you
just
want?
before that,
Yeah,
one note. I think it's very important for people starting out. Uh, you don't have to start with any of these platforms. The best way to start understanding how Ethereum works and how EVMs, smart contracts work, and so on, it's actually to not use any of these and use Remix IDE.
yeah, right.
If
Yeah,
you are
it's
starting out, go start Remix IDE. And on Remix IDE, you have everything in your browser.
yeah, it just simplifies everything. It's you just use that IDE, you code it, you deploy it, you run the tests, you check what's the values of. You can watch the values of the variables. You
It
can,
runs an EVM
yeah, you can call
blockchain
functions.
on your
Yeah,
browser.
yeah,
It deploys to your own nodes on your browser. You
yeah,
can test your smart contract right without writing any tests. You just go to the deployment tab and call your smart contract with values.
yeah,
Uh, you can debug the smart contract. You can debug the bytecode and the assembly generated.
yeah.
It's very cool. Of
And by
course,
the way,
very
you can
cool
use
to
Solidity,
start with.
yeah, and you
Uh,
can use Solidity and Viper. So since we were talking about that,
yeah,
you can use both.
I really think that Remix needs to a shout out here. Although
Yeah.
it's not a professional environment, it's a
No,
very
but it's a pretty cool
simple one.
environment and makes it a lot easy for people to start up on smart contract development.
And another thing, if you want to hack contracts, Remix IDE is also the way to go.
Yeah, yeah,
because
I do agree.
you don't have to worry about deployments and all those things.
Yeah.
You can deploy to all major test nets and even mainnet,
Hmm.
and you can just use an interface and simulate that interface over an address running on the network and call the heck out of that contract.
Yeah, and you can easily integrate
Of course,
with
I don't
GitHub.
do that
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. And you can easily integrate with GitHub, so you can just get the code from GitHub and commit and push to your repository. And yeah, it's pretty cool. It has some really nice features there. So, but yeah, let's move on
Yeah.
to this to this layer of the tools. So let's talk a little bit about Web3 and ethers.js. Uh, yeah. So what do these do is that they help you communicate with your smart contracts. So they just create a layer which makes it easier, like we were talking about in the tests, easier but not really easy to interact with your smart contracts. So what are the main differences between web3.js and ethers.js?
It's a question of organization of the libraries. Ethers.js is a more functional approach, and Web3.js was the original one. So they both do the same things. So Web3.js was the first one to be available for people to use. It basically does takes care of the RPC connection to a node, um, and serialization and the serialization of messages, and all the tools and bits and pieces around that to be usable in JavaScript. And that's the same thing with Ethers.js. The organization of the library and the way the tools that it allows us to use are a little bit different. And if I may choose, I would choose Ethers.js. I prefer the functional way of doing things, but both do the same things basically, right?
Yeah, I would like to throw another one to the mix, which is ApeWorks, which is both of these ethers, .js and Web3.js, are JavaScript implemented implementations of those protocols. But you have this ApeWorks, which are Python based. So again, if you are using Viper, you probably want to go with ApeWorks. So yeah, just wanted to
Yeah.
mention that. So this is another list of the tools. So when you want to interact with smart contracts, you want to go for these ones. So this is as development. As for the development of the smart contracts and interaction, I think we're set for a very nice toolkit. So what I would like to move is for another world right now. I would like to talk a little bit about IPFS. And just remember that we always have in mind Web3 development, which is not only smart contracts. So IPFS is a really nice idea about storage, about file storage that is really distributed.
Data storage in any way.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's data storage. Yeah. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about IPFS, and because as I was saying, it's at least as far as I can tell, the only distributed storage facility that we have.
There are a few more. Either they are building their own stuff or building on top of IPFS.
Yeah, mostly
But there
they're
are,
on top of it.
yeah. But I really like IPFS because it's of its nature. It is built from the ground up to be a standard, not to be just another DApp, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I'm still under some very stressful
Yeah.
stuff in my lungs. Anyway, so IPFS is a real decentralized standard for information storage and distribution, right? And whenever we think about IPFS, most of the people that say bad things about IPFS, they don't know what it is, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
let's. Yeah, I totally forgot to make a little introduction to IPFS. So, IPFS stands for Interplanetary File System. So, it's supposed to be a distributed way for you to store your files. Um, they are I, identified not by a file name or a path. They are identified from an hash,
a content
which is
ID.
calculated. Yeah, well, content ID. Yeah, let's call it the proper names, which is calculated from the data that your file contains. So if your file contains a string saying hello world, and if I put that file on IPFS and some other guy just puts the same file on IPFS, they will have the same hash and they will identify the exact same file or the exact same content. So this is a really nice thing regarding the duplication of data, and it becomes more efficient regarding that. And the distributed way of having things, which we like a lot, is that I can have the files I duplicate to or replicate the contents to somebody else. I can shut down my machine, and the contents will still be available. So it's not like if I have a website on my server, or my personal server, running. If I shut down my server, nobody has access to it. It's done. It's not transmitting to or responding to HTTP requests to anyone. So unfortunately, it's like that. So on IPFS, I can replicate my data to anyone who wants to hold on that data, and that will be available even though that I shut down my machine. So I think those are
And
the biggest advantages on
I
that.
really like to,
It kind of works like the BitTorrent,
yeah,
like
I,
BitTorrent,
I
which
like,
is IPFS is based also on BitTorrent and on those protocols.
it has a lot of things from many protocols,
Yeah,
but I really like to give the idea of imagine that you have a very famous uh, movie or movie song being released today, actually right now, and most people in your company want to watch it firsthand. Uh, on your network, what it would mean if you don't have caching systems at the the communication between your network and the internet, it would mean that all your 100 employees would require a network connection to somebody's website somewhere in the internet and download 100 copies of the same shit.
Yeah.
Literally. As dumb as this can sound to any of you, this is what happens in Web 2. Because the content is location addressed, URL is what it means. Unified resource location, right? And the difference to this, the approach of IPFS, it's a content addressed internet. So whenever the same situation on IPFS would mean that the first of your employees would connect to the nearest node in the network that had that content and would start downloading objects. The next guy, sorry, the next guy,
if you want me
that
to
started a connection or tried to get that content would start getting content from the previous guy. And then the next one would start getting content from the other guy. And with time, probably your entire network would be dependent on only just one download from the external network, and they would all be sharing objects between themselves in the internal network.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to refer about the torrent network and the torrent protocols. Is that like you were saying, you are downloading stuff from your nearest, from the closest nodes. So if somebody else right next to you already downloaded it, it's easier to get from that guy. And if you have 10 people that already have that content, you will be downloading from those 10 people. So it's much faster, it's much resource efficient, because it's not one of the nodes that has to supply all the bandwidth in order to supply to that service. And like I was saying, it has redundancy, it's resilient, and it's much more efficient, because you are not downloading from one node, you are not downloading from one website, you are downloading from everywhere. Like BitTorrent, you make it available and people can grab from you. So if you are a seeder, people will get it from you. So that's
and also
really
one
cool.
thing that is very important is that most people say that IPFS is very slow and it doesn't behave that well. And I would like to say that there is a public infrastructure running public IPFS nodes for demonstration purposes. That is not intended to be the final network. The idea behind the IPFS is for you to build your own networks and to build either public networks or private networks.
Mm-hmm.
With IPFS, if you are starting your own dApp, the most efficient way is for you to start your own decentralized storage infrastructure with IPFS with a private network, not a public one.
Mhm.
And if you do that, you will have a much more efficient, much more stable network because you control uh, who connects to it, and um, you will be able to also design incentives for people to run uh, IPFS nodes on your private network, and
Yeah, it's
everything
the
will
same
run
like you have.
smoothly,
Yeah, it's the same
right?
thing that you have with Web3 storage and Pinata. It's the ones that come from the top of my head. I think there are more, which are paid services, of course, but they have their own networks and they are very, very efficient.
Yeah, and for instance, if you use Pinata has one of the most reliable connections to the public gateways. So whenever you publish something to Pinata, it will become available on most of the public networks or or public gateways immediately.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
yeah,
And also, we are talking about public networks with all the difficulties of being a public network. I repeat, if you are designing your own application, why the fuck you use a public network?
yeah. Well, it's the same as a blockchain platform, right? If we are suggesting for you, if you are starting a new project, for you to make your own blockchain, start your own network, start your own community. I think it makes a lot of sense to start your own IPFS network.
Yeah, and you have control over your gateways that only uh, take care of your own content, not content for all the applications in the entire universe,
Yeah,
which doesn't make any sense, right? That's why sometimes the public IPFS network is slow because there's a bunch of shit going on in the public network, right?
yeah,
So it's the same thing as Ethereum. If you are using Ethereum instead of a layer two, sometimes network fees become crazy expensive,
yeah,
and the network becomes completely um, slow. Uh, that's the nature of things. And it makes much more sense for you to create your own private network for your application, decentralize it the best you can, because we are talking about decentralized applications.
yeah.
Don't run your own nodes and keep them to yourself because it's a
Yeah.
centralized
That's
point of
centralized.
failure,
Yeah,
right? Uh, Create incentives for people to participate in the storage as well. And yeah, it makes everything run much smoother. And yeah, I only have good things to say about IPFS.
yeah.
If you do it
I do agree.
properly,
Yeah, I do
uh,
agree.
there is a bunch of ways that you can do it poorly and blame IPFS for your mistakes.
Yeah,
That's not true,
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
right?
And since we were talking about centralized stuff and the centralization points, let's talk about the only centralized thing that we kind of need to implement when we are talking about Web3, which are the oracles. So oracles are systems, are centralized systems that, well, not sure if they need to be centralized, but I think there might be a way of doing oracles in a
There,
distributed way, but usually they are not distributed; they are centralized. And what they do is to supply information to decentralized systems, usually blockchains, uh, in order to have some sort of communication from the outer world into the inner world, which is the blockchain. So, what do you have to say about this? apart from being a centralized system, which makes it a vulnerable breaking point, or at least a target. What do you have to
What I
say about
have to
oracles?
say about that is that we reached 100 subscribers.
Really?
Yay!
Nice. I was already having a drink about that. So since the beginning of the episode.
Thank you, guys. Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thanks a lot for following us, guys. It's been really nice to have you guys with us. So I'm glad that we reached the 100
It's the
subscribers.
first the first serious milestone
Yeah.
besides the 10.
Yeah. Now we are going for the 1,000, right?
Yeah, let's. Now I begin to believe that 1,000 might be possible. Anyway, let's see. Uh, besides that,
Really cool, guys.
thanks to 100th subscriber. Don't unsubscribe now, okay?
Yeah, we don't know who you are, but thank you very much. You are
Really
in
cool,
our
really cool.
hearts.
Anyway, talking about oracles, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
oracles. There is pseudo decentralized stuff like Chainlink um, and some others. But usually there are a few um, nodes running centralized shit and feeding um, those infos
Okay, just let me
to
interrupt
smart
you a little
contracts,
bit
right?
because I think we need to explain why oracles exist. Oracles
Yeah.
exist because blockchains are a closed system, and they are not able to gather information from the outer world. So let's
And
talk,
why
for
is that?
instance, yeah, because they they need to. I always miss the term here. Every computer
And
needs to reach to the same conclusion. That has a term. It has a
yeah,
name. What is it?
it has to be um,
I'm forgetting about the term here. But the thing is, they need
deterministic.
deterministic, right? They need to be deterministic. So they cannot rely on randomness. They cannot rely on internet connections. They cannot rely on a bunch of stuff that we as developers are used to rely on. But they are points of failure, and if each machine reach to a different conclusion, there is no consensus on the blockchain. This is the issue about blockchains. They are really closed systems, and they don't have access to the outer world. So let's imagine that we have, for instance, price actions on different coins, and we have uh, an exchange, and we need to know the prices of the markets. So we need to access to some other blockchains, for instance, and we need to know the different prices of different things. So our blockchain cannot reach other blockchains. It cannot reach other exchanges. So it relies on some inputs that other systems that can do that. Uh, it has to rely on those systems for that information. So people came up with the oracles, which are different systems that are not blockchains. They have access to all of that information, and they just make transactions on the blockchain to in order to supply that information to the smart contracts. So this is why oracles exist. Is there any other reason for that, or am I missing something here?
Yeah, we can imagine the need for oracles if you have some smart contract that relies on weather information,
Yeah,
for
exactly.
instance. Weather information might be coming from different sources. Ideally, if you want to build something that is decentralized, it doesn't make any sense for you to have 10 suppliers of AccuWeather information, right? It
Yeah.
makes more sense to have like 5 suppliers, one from AccuWeather, another from Google Weather,
Yeah,
another from Apple whatever,
yeah,
and
and
another from another
then just
stuff.
average
So
them all and get to a number from that.
this is the pseudo decentralized way to get information from the outside world. It's pseudo decentralized because it is based on centralized entities supplying centralized information.
Yeah, exactly. And
And
the problem
and
there
I
is that
can
I can hack
eh,
to the Oracle and tweak
yeah,
it as I
I
want
can
to, and
build
yeah,
my own service that supplies always that is minus 25 degrees raining or snowing.
yeah. But
Uh,
that's another issue. What I was talking about is that if you build an Oracle, it can be hacked, and it can supply bad information to the blockchain, even though that the sources are good, because you will choose the sources that you are sourcing from. But even though that those sources are good, you can be hacked, and it's a centralized point of failure, and it will be delivering uh, that information to the smart contracts. Uh,
that's
yeah,
what Chainlink minimizes. So people in the Chainlink ecosystem, they have to have uh, they have to to supply um correct information. Otherwise, they will lose incentives, and that's the idea of the decentralized oracle of Chainlink. But you can reach the same without Chainlink. You need to have a way in your smart contract to calculate median values, for instance, and ignore the extremes or something like that, as we built for other systems in the past, and it just works, right? It's not rocket science. It is. You have to be careful that people can cheat. Uh, can cheat your contract or try to, and you just need to be aware of that and um, make your own efforts to make it difficult for people to get profits out of doing wrong things, right?
yeah, exactly. So the other topic that I think we are going, oracles are pretty basic. Yeah. So I think we're done with this, with
Yeah.
those. I think we can move on to wallets. Wallets. So what are wallets?
Well, wallets suck.
Yep.
I think
I
we are
think
done with that as well.
yeah, yeah. So let's move to the other topic. No, joking. I think uh, I don't know. There isn't a good wallet yet. I think the wallets are still in their early stages. There is still a long way to go, and on the user experience of wallets, mainly on that. So wallets are a way to abstract you from your private keys.
Yeah.
That's what they
My
do. People
vision,
people are used to wallets, and that piece of leather where you put your notes in.
my
Wallets
vision
don't
for
have
a
money
proper
there.
user experience with a wallet is having a smartphone, right? And it has embedded wallet in it, and I don't really care what's going on. I just create my account there, Bitcoin or Ethereum or Solana or what the fuck I want to use. I don't really care about keys because I don't even know they exist. If
Yeah.
I want to back up my wallet, I just press a button and it encrypts a file that I store somewhere and I don't care about it. Or even better, it just creates all my accounts with the same, based on the same seed phrase of 24 words or whatever that I can back up
Yeah, but
in a paper on
let me
my
make a
basement.
little let me make a little intro on the wallets, because people are used to put money in the wallets, right? They put their cards, they put their money in the wallet, and that's not this kind of wallet that we're talking about. These wallets are just an abstraction for your keys. So your money is in the blockchain. So money, we are talking about tokens. So if we are dealing with an Ethereum account, your tokens are in the blockchain. They are not in your wallet. So when you are making a transfer from your wallet to another wallet, you are actually doing a transfer from an account to another account. And the money never leaves the blockchain. It's not in your wallet. Uh, so the wallet just abstracts you from your private keys. And this is what I wanted. Now the wallets do some other stuff. They connect to different networks.
Can
They
I
they're
continue with my imagination?
yeah. Just wanted to clarify
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
this wallet term in order
So my
to explain this
imagination
better.
is I have a wallet here, and that wallet contains Bitcoin, Ethereum, all the coins that I want, even dollars. Okay, I don't care. It's the same shit. It's money there. And whenever I want to go to a app, I go to my browser, and my browser connects to that app, and I do what I have to do. And whenever I need to approve something, my wallet pops on and tells me, "Do you want to do this?" Yes, I approve with my finger or whatever, and I'm done. And if I go to my browser on the computer here in front of me, the user interface is exactly the same, because the proper uh, approval mechanism is already part of HTTP. It's not something that is injected inside the browser like we have today. For instance, when we use MetaMask, it injects in the browser something, some Web3 JS uh, instance that the app can use to communicate to the blockchain. And that would be the best approach. It would be completely seamless communication with a wallet that is standard, and every wallet manufacturer would need to comply with those rules, and everything would run smoothly on any chain.
Yeah,
We are far away from that,
yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah.
There are a few uh, good steps and a few bad steps. Of course, the most important one is MetaMask. It sucks. Uh, it's very clunky. It never reached.
In my opinion, it's not user friendly.
Yeah, we have to use it because it's the most important way, or at least the most used way. But it's far from being good. Uh, the best user experience right now, in my opinion, is Wallet Connect, uh, where you have a wallet on your mobile device, any wallet that supports Wallet Connect. And when you want to connect to an app, it just scans a QR code and it makes a connection between your phone and your browser. And anything that you need to approve, you approve it on your phone.
Yeah,
Uh, but I really think that the future will bring much nicer user experiences, much seamless user experiences,
Hmm.
and uh, even approval free user experiences for stuff like social media or things like that, where you don't need necessarily to be paying for things. You just need to be providing information or a proof that you are who you are. So it's a completely different thing than making a financial transaction. So we are in such early days in this ecosystem, uh, and the wallets, which were one of the most basic things, are becoming the least explored um, user experiences in this ecosystem, which is very strange, right? Because it affects all the decentralized
Yeah,
applications
and
and
it's the first impact on the users, right? It's what users will need in order to interact with everything else. So,
yeah. So I really hope that people experiment more with alternative ways, alternative user experiences in the wallets and in the wallet communication
mhm.
side of things. And yeah, we need to do this better, guys. And to end with, as we started, go learn from the old Bitcoin guys. Uh, Experiment Noster, experiment the flawless user experience and user onboarding, and you will be uh, terrified uh, because our Web3 and or Web5, even that there is a movement of Web5, which is Web3 plus two. Uh,
Come on,
every time I
really?
think about it, I just want to kill myself. But uh, all
Really?
this shit, uh, all these fancy words for this and that, and we cannot do the basic shit well.
Yeah.
Go learn. Go learn with the
Yeah,
those
it's
OGs.
yeah, it requires a lot of experimenting right now. It's something that we need to test different solutions and different approaches for this problem because
I really think that the most important
it's
thing.
kind of a new problem, but it's not a new problem. So authenticating problems are not new, uh, and we kind of on Web 2 we fall back on onto FA, for instance. But yeah, it's two, right? It's a second authentication. So we are relying on two authentications and not a single authentication. So here we need to experiment because the technologies are a bit different. Uh, and yeah, we need to experiment, and we are still far from having a good solution there.
Yeah, don't take for granted that you need a wallet approval for every shit. You don't. Maybe it's useful to create different authorities for for different things and make it so that your application can auto approve things that don't move funds, for instance, in a simpler way, not requiring so much security for regular application for regular interactions,
Yep.
and require the most secure way to move funds or to uh, do applications of your funds or anything like that. there is a lot of things to that we can do. It's almost nothing done. So I really think
Yep.
that's the best. That's where we can do the most impact right
Yep.
now, because it's the most clunky part of all this,
Yep.
and we are very, very, very far and very, very in need to get a better user interface
Yep.
for the next
Yeah. The
uh, series of dApps that we will have
yeah.
during this cycle.
Yeah. The wallets are pretty good at abstracting you from different blockchains, so they are able to connect to whatever blockchain they are capable of. They are good at having several accounts. They are good on. They can sign messages. They can sign transactions. They can do a lot of stuff. Don't get this wrong. It's a really good and hard piece of technology. They are becoming quite secure, despite of several problems that we've been having with wallets. But yeah, this part of the user interaction and onboarding is still a tough call. It's still really tough to have this middleware between people and blockchains. So it requires a lot of work yet, and as we were saying, a lot of testing, because it's a new world. It's something that requires experimenting and see the adoption of people. And yeah, I think it's still a long way to go there.
But I really think that if someone builds the ideal or any better user interface, actually will be an overnight success.
Yeah, I guess.
So if I would be investing from zero in this space, I 100% would put my team to think about a new user experience
Hmm.
for onboarding people to the apps and to authenticate people to the apps,
Yeah.
because what we have right now is far, far ages away from being usable. So think about it. Sometimes you
Yeah.
don't need to create a fancy protocol or
Yeah,
whatever
right now
to be
the wallets are
successful.
very geek oriented. So
If you imagine 15 years ago, the first wallets, uh, the QT Bitcoin wallet, uh,
yeah,
we are not that far away from there, guys. It's terrifying.
yeah,
What we have right now, it's not that far away from the initial wallets of Bitcoin.
yeah. Well,
So
they are based on the same ideas, right? So
we implemented different communication, and we implemented wallets on the browser that can tweak shit around, but real innovation, not much.
yeah,
So I know that this is not very uh, uh, political, and some people will just bash us from saying this, but that is the truth.
yeah.
That is the truth, right? Wallets are far from being good, and I really think that we can do better. Uh, and with this, I think we covered everything, right?
No, we didn't. But we are
Not
40
yet.
minutes past the hour of past the time, so we still had security and auditing to talk about. But I think we can save this for another episode. What do you say?
Yeah, yeah. Let's do that, because otherwise, my throat and my lungs will
Yeah, yeah,
just collapse after this episode.
And
It
we
was
need
a
to
good
party.
experience until
And we need
now.
to
That
party.
let's don't trash it yet.
Yeah, and
I want
and
to
we
be
need
back
to
next
party for
Monday.
for the 100 subscribers. Thanks to you all. Um, it's been amazing being here for the this first 100 subscribers. Next target, let's move to 1,000 and fight for it. Let's keep doing really good episodes and try to be better and better on each one. And yeah, what do you have to say?
Yeah, thanks a lot for joining us in this idea of sharing our professional experiences in blockchain. Uh, I think we have many important things to share with all you guys. We've been around for many years, and that's what we aim to do in this episode is to share stuff and hopefully enable anyone to understand better blockchain development and Web3 development and become better developers and not follow just the conventional things and think outside the box. Uh, yeah, that's at least from my side, that's what I want to share and to bring to the table. Bring different ideas, not just the same shit that everyone tells and stuff like that. It's talking real stuff with real experience,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And guys, if you stick to us until now, it's because you find this information at least enjoyable or important for you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Um, and yeah, don't forget to do things like we are getting used to say wisely. Um, so we try to pass the information to you guys to make the things the way we think it's the proper way to do it. So
And if you think we are wrong, just comment out,
yeah, we have
join
social
us.
media, guys.
Yeah,
Don't forget
join us.
to go to the video chat and put ask the questions. We try to answer as
This
fast
is
as we
not
can.
this is
Uh,
not a one-way conversation here. Uh, I want to be proven wrong if I am. I want to learn new shit.
Yeah, and we have
Basically,
social media. So if you want to ask us questions, if you have doubts about what we were saying, if you have suggestions of any subject that you would like to see us talking about, yeah, we'll just go to our Telegram, and we will try to reply and or make an episode regarding that subject.
sure.
So yeah, guys, feel free to join the conversation.
Yeah. And thank you, 100 guys, for joining our mission to decentralize the world
Wisely.
wisely. And we will see you in the next episode.
See you on the next one.
Cheers. Bye bye.